The genesis of the Omni project started after we had initially introduced the indexing to our bishops and asked them to encourage the membership to begin indexing. In March of this year, there was a meeting held among stake presidents here in the Sacramento stake with Elder Richard J. Maines of the First Quorum of the 70. And one of the messages that he gave in the meeting was that we should not have a people without callings list in the wards. I recall in early July, President McKinney had provided me with the latest statistical information about what we had done in June, and the numbers were upwards of about 37,000 was the number of names that have been indexed. And when I got that, I was a little surprised. I thought we would have an initial growth curve in response to what we had asked the bishops to do, but I hadn't expected it to keep going up, and it was one of those moments. And I can only describe it that this impression came to my mind of 1 million. It happened just that fast, and I dismissed it immediately and thought nothing of it. But the number continued to be impressed in my mind. So I sent an email to the members of the stake presidency saying I didn't tell them what my experience was. I just wanted to kind of float the idea. We met as a presidency and discussed it, and I told them then more about the feelings that I had had. We all approved the idea of announcing to the stake that we as a stake would have as a goal to index 1 million names in the month of October.
I started indexing as soon as I read an article in the Ensign, which was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
In the beginning, I was very reluctant because I felt like it was a waste of my time.
We just didn't know how we were going to be able to maneuver it with the demands on one computer and boys in multiple soccer leagues in school and seminary and work. And I mean, we're just a busy family like everyone else.
In the beginning, it was more like a game to me. Like, I gotta beat my brother. I gotta beat my mom. I'm gonna get to 100.
I was fighting the computer. I'm computer challenged. I didn't think there was any way I could do it, but I wanted to be obedient. And so I figured a way to do it.
There's a lot of names that have already been done in the temple, but there are so many more that haven't. And a lot of those names have to be discovered first. And so this indexing, this digital extraction is the way that we can discover new names that can be done. We had pictures that had been taken and they've been sitting here on a computer, and now we can go through and type these names out.
When the stake announced 1 million names, I thought, how in the world are we gonna make 1 million names? But when I was thinking about the story of Nephi, when they received the assignment to go back to Jerusalem to get the genealogy or the plates from Laban, his two brothers were complaining, but Nephi said, I will go and do the things which the Lord had commanded. For I know that the Lord give no commandments unto the children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them, that they may accomplish the work.
Well, it sounded like a lot in the beginning, but from my own experience, I knew that it was possible, but I didn't know if we could get that many people.
I was a doubter at first as far as the stake being able to actually do the 1 million names. Then I had a conversation with President Castanet where he explained to me that he had received a very strong impression that this is what we were supposed to do and that he wanted the stake to participate in a miracle, and this would be our miracle.
I couldn't deny it. There's nothing I could do about it in the sense that I knew that the Lord had basically said this is what he wanted to have done. And so it was kind of, I will go and do. But nevertheless, it was a tremendous burden for me because I knew the thousands and thousands of hours that would be devoted, not just to the people actually going out and doing the indexing, but just preparing them, training them, getting them signed up, and the huge process it would take to build up our numbers, because the goal was if we could get 1,000 indexers to index 1,000 names each in the month of October, we could accomplish the goal.
We scheduled meetings where we would go and talk to people and try to demonstrate how easy it was to register to get an LDS account and register to do indexing. We talked about it in sacrament meetings. We had an all-day workshop training. We did everything that we could to get as many people registered and excited about indexing as possible.
When I first started, I was so conscientious trying to get everything right and not make a mistake. I got going and got faster, of course, and I was pretty proud of myself. I had entered in everything, and it all looked great. Just as I was getting ready to hit the submit button, I heard very clearly, a voice of a young girl said, "I am not a son." And it was a 13-year-old girl named Ellen, and I've marked her as a son. In the plan of salvation, we're taught that family can be together forever. We're taught that the veil is thin, that we have a work to do here while we're on earth, and that we don't have a lot of time. And indexing deepened that testimony so profoundly.
I like to go on the Family Search website and to search for my ancestors. And it's so cool when they come up and you see that someone has indexed your ancestor.
I haven't been involved in family history a lot, and through indexing, I've not only gained a testimony of indexing, but a greater desire to search out my ancestors. There's been a great feeling in the stake, and also a feeling of accomplishment, that we thought the stake president was out of his mind.
But then now, I've become more humble to my bishopric, listening to their to what they want us to do, because it's not just for the stake as a whole, but it's really for the individual.
I've kind of always known that the people I'm indexing are real people, they're not just names. But as I was indexing, I felt more like they were real people, and I felt more like I knew them personally, like they were there while I was indexing.
When you're just indexing those names, it feels like I feel like I want to know more than just who they are and what they did.
Is probably the sweetest work, short to raising children, to being a mom. It's the sweetest thing I've ever done.
The morning that we found out that we had achieved the million, President McKinney emailed me and sent me the message that it had just happened. And I can't even begin to tell you the sense of relief, like a great weight had lifted off my shoulders.
Sometimes we need a big shove to get us out of a rut. Sometimes we need a big challenge to help us see the vision. It might be a crazy dream, like pulling handcarts to a Salt Lake Valley, or building a ship if you've never known how. Sometimes it's those crazy big dreams that somehow have the power to change lives.